Greetings, Earthlings and humans, Nephilims, clones, what have you. Welcome to the Roseanne Barr podcast.
Oh, you see, my patience is growing thin.
A special one, right?
A very special one. We're just loving it. We're loving life. That's for dang sure.
Well, I'll catch people. Oh, I was just going to tell people it's Thursday night. This is normally when our podcast airs. We usually film them earlier and I edit them. You've been sick. You're still sick.
A little bit.
So we're just going to wing this one. It's just going to, I'm not even going to edit it. It'll be like this side by side because I got to get it out tonight. And,
all right.
And I just think it's really courageous of you to be here. I know you're not feeling well. I want to tell the usual listeners, obviously we like the big fancy cameras and whatnot, but hey, the fact that my mom's here, she's not feeling well, even though we're celebrating.
We are so celebrating. We are so happy. We won. God won. Everything is right in the world. It's just great. It's wonderful to see all those degenerates crying about it and such because they know what's coming, and I can't wait till it comes to.
There's so many things, so many good things about Tuesday, but I want to get your thoughts because we didn't get to hang out on this election. You've been sick. I barely even seen you. What was going through your mind during the election? How did you watch it? I don't even know. Like, I know what I did, but what did you do? Were you like obsessed with it, checking every vote come in? Were you drifting out? Were you meditating? What were you doing?
Well, to tell you the truth, like this last 10 days since I got to Los Angeles, I got off the plane and I got COVID or whatever. It's just a really bad flu. And so I'm lucky that I had those emergency kits on hand and I took all the medications and started, to come back. But I was sick. And, it was sad because I sort of, ran out of gas the last mile. And I had to cancel doing a thing with Tucker. And I was invited to open for Trump's rally November 1st in Wisconsin. And I had to cancel that too, which was a real bummer because, I'd live for that. And, but not as much as I'm living for the big win. And but I dragged myself to election night. And you know what? I fell asleep at 8 p.m. I couldn't make it. And I woke up. Huh?
Sorry. I was wondering if you fell asleep because I did come up to cheer with you when it looked good. And I went to your door and I dropped off to your birthday present and I could hear the laptop in the door and I did a little tap and I thought you might be asleep, which was crazy to me that you'd be. I didn't sleep at all. So.
Yeah, I just asked out at 8 p.m. And I guess I woke up at 1:30 p.m. and
a.m.
I think they said that he had won.
So you just woke up with everything you've been through the last 8 to 10 years. You just fell asleep like casually and you woke up and you're like, oh, Trump won. Just like that.
Yeah, but I knew he was going to win, But I, and I thought it was going to be all 50 states.
So you were disappointed.
It probably was with one that's all said and done. But yeah, and it was a rout and, a big win. And especially getting the popular vote, that was great because it's a mandate. And maybe those guys won't start too much shit before they're out of there. When they see that nobody in America bought their crap, everybody was over their bullshit and saw right through it. And, America woke up just in time. And that was just fabulous because, I worked nonstop for 7 years.
That's what I want to talk about.
And then when they stole 2020, when that went down, I was just shocked. But, I know there's nothing they won't do, which, it's been proven, taking shots at him, lawfare, all those phony lawsuits that they gloat over, that they broke and bent the law to get an innocent man. But, just all of that. The last 4 years have been really hard.
Yeah.
But, the only way that I could stand the whatever it is, frustration of it was just to go in harder, going harder. I was frustrated. I was angry. I'm angry still that people are, January 6th, people are still in prison, and that Steve Bannon and, everybody got put in prison while these kids that burned down cities got bailed out by Kamala Harris.
Mhm.
And, just the two tiers justice system in this country it's sickening, and it was sickening to see everybody pretend like that was the right thing and
Right.
that there should be more of it, and they were proud of breaking the law and being bigots and mind controlled slaves. They couldn't have been prouder of themselves. And I probably hate Hollywood way more than any other American.
Yeah, you should. You have every right to.
And but just watching them have to, watching Jimmy Kimmel cry, oh my God, I loved it. And today when they were taken up after George Clooney for getting rid of Biden,
Mhm.
Now they're turning on each other, which is just great. It's so fun. And, just to see the people on The View
Mhm.
take it in the back and the shorts that nobody in America likes them
Yeah.
or gives a shit for what they think. It's just great. I mean,
Well, that's
my first thing was, yes, fuck Disney. That was my first thought,
well, that's my question, because arguably, I mean, you've given up more than most people in support of Trump. We know your history. We know your story. I'm your son. I've been here the whole time, but seeing people like Elon Musk and RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, I mean, I can name a list. Tony Hinchcliffe, for instance, Joe Rogan, like so many people came to our side and they're like, hey, Trump's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
8 years after you did, for a while, it was just you and Kevin Sorbo and James Woods, and you were called crazy. You were dragged through the mud. They took your #1 show. And here you are. We wake up 2 days after one of the biggest landslides ever. I mean, it's not the biggest. Reagan was bigger. But considering when you factor in the money spent by Kamala, the media, the DOJ, the government machine behind it, the fact that Kamala in any other time would have won, I said this before in the podcast, 90% of the vote. I'm saying with that machine behind her. Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's sick of that machine. Everybody saw through it.
Well,
nobody cares or watches any of that crap anymore.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
They just watch it to laugh and make fun of it.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. So knowing now that machine is basically destroyed, that we were right all along, that you were right all along, shit you took from Hollywood and these people, for them to kind of swing up and be like, hey, this isn't so bad over here. Trump's pretty awesome. Does that feel good? Like, hey, welcome to the party? Or does part of you want to go, hey, fuck you. Where were you guys 4 years ago when I was getting fired and dragged through the mud? None of you said shit. Or is it a little bit of both? I just want an honest answer.
Well, it's always been that way in my life and my work. I'm always generally the first or one of the first, and everybody else calls me crazy or whatever they're going to call me. And then they all come around and forget that I was, then they try to erase me, and, but I'm used to it. That doesn't matter. It doesn't take away from the fact that, I'm happy to be the first. That's what I'm here for.
Right.
So, they can't take anything away from me. They try all the time, but they're piss ants. And they don't matter. Nobody cares, least of all me. But I love to see them. I love to see them laid low and kind of, knowing that they know that they're not popular, which I know that kills them.
Oh,
especially it's like Joy and Whoopi. They thought everyone in America was on their side. I mean, they're under such heavy delusion.
Yeah. Well, the media still work. That's really what this election told me, was it showed me who still believes in legacy media, believes in the establishment, buys the horseshit that is so obviously horseshit, and who has moved on.
Kool-Aid. They're drinking the Kool-Aid and they're addicted to it. Like I always say, they're addicted to bullshit. They'd rather have bullshit than their kids' lives.
It's true.
They're just a complete bullshit addict. And, you have to wonder, why they're so addicted to bullshit, because there's a reason.
I
You know,
think they're
because they're hiding something and they're liars and they're guilty. They're all guilty, and I know it too. So I love seeing when it might dawn on them, but it doesn't dawn on narcissists that people are onto them. But they get a few cracks in their wig there. Get a few cracks, and it's very painful for them, I imagine, because, you know, they're con men and paid prostitutes. So when somebody's not buying their act, I imagine they get nervous, because what are they going to do next? Who's the next trick when nobody's buying?
I never thought about it. When you're a hustler.
And that's Kamala too. Like, she's just nothing but a hoochie gal, and nobody's buying her tricks anymore. Her blowjobs ain't for shit. It ain't worth a quarter. Her blowjobs ain't worth a quarter no more.
Obviously not. All right, I'm going to take a quick ad break. We got a few ads to get through. I know you're not feeling well, so I am going to do most of them for you, so you can just sit there and smoke. I love that we talk about how you're sick and you sit there and smoke. Probably nobody's giving you sympathy, but it's not just your lungs.
Everybody's going, well, if you didn't smoke,
it's probably true.
Going blah blah blah. I'm like, hey, nicotine kills the spike proteins, motherfucker. That's what they say.
All right. Well, Beam Powder is a great sponsor. By the way, everybody watching this, again, my mom's showing up sick. She was right. She gave up her fucking so much for this resounding victory. You're more Americans agree with you than they do people like Mark Hamill and Rob Reiner. You've been vindicated. I want to get into all this, but I'm just saying the fact that you're here, if you want to support my mom, usually I say like and subscribe, but fuck you too. If you really want to support her, join our sponsors, go to the sponsors. If you have the money, buy it, or at least go to the link. It really does help us the most. And we only sell good shit. Beam Powder is a powder my mom's been using since we got to Texas. It tastes good. I'll let you tell the people more, but I love this stuff. I've started taking it. I brought it from Texas. I sleep amazing. And I have a 6-month-old. You know her lungs. She screams like a brat. I can sleep through it. It's probably not the best and safest, but Hannah's here. You take the powder, you sleep like a baby. It's got so many good ingredients.
So good.
It really does.
Good.
And here's an exciting thing. I'm going to read this verbatim. There has never been a better time to finally try Dream. Shop their Black Friday sale and get up to 50% off when you visit shopbeam.com/Roseanne. You've been hearing my mom rave about Dream. This is your chance to finally try it for the lowest price of the year. So head on over to shopbeam.com/Roseanne for 50% off. That's shopbeam.com/Roseanne for 50% off. It's a great powder. It's all natural. We talked to the guy. There's nothing weird in it. It's all natural stuff.
It's really a great product, and you should really try it, because it'll give you a real nice night's sleep.
No, you really do. You sleep good. And then, why I got him here, Policy Genius. I'll back these up so we can get through this, because I want you to get some sleep. So Policy Genius is someone that I recommend you guys go and visit. It's a marketplace to shop life insurance. That's essentially what it is. There's a lot of policies out there. They get you hooked up with the best deal. And life insurance is the most important thing you can do to protect your future and your kids. If you haven't done it yet, do it. Even if you don't have kids. I mean, if something, God forbid, happens to you, your family and friends and whoever you care about could be left out in the lurch. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Right. You want to make sure that doesn't happen to them.
Absolutely. So with Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start as low as $292 a year for $1 million of coverage. So think about that. You just pay like $300 a year, and you get a $1 million policy. If anything should happen to you, that goes to your family. They have all sorts of great shit. Some options are 100% online and let you avoid unnecessary medical exams. Secure your family tomorrow so you have peace of mind today. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com. Again, if you want to support us, go there and check it out. Life insurance is something you should do anyway. Anyway.
Yeah.
Back to it, Ma. I'm trying to rush through this for you. I hope you're feeling okay.
You don't have to rush through it.
All right.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine. I'm drinking some soda.
Okay.
My favorite thing anyway.
So I have a couple things I want to run by, and then I'll just let you take the floor. But I've been preparing questions because I knew you weren't feeling well, and I was like, I'm going to take over this one a little bit so you can rest. And if you want me to shut up, I'll shut up. But there was one moment during the election that I found truly profound.
What was that?
It was your tweet about we do not consent to Obama. I don't know if you remember it because
Yeah.
there was a lot going. We've covered this before. With Alex Stein, I forgot what it's called. The rhythm of the method or whatever it is, the Satanic Consent thing.
Yeah.
A revelation of the method, and as it's going on, fucking Barack Obama gets up and a tweet out of nowhere when Pennsylvania is starting to have all sorts of weird shit. And they're cheating, and Trump's sending lawyers, and Laura Trump, who did a great job, by the way.
Yeah, she did.
All of a sudden, Barry Obama starts tweeting about how, it's going to take a few days to count, the same way they stole 2020. And you wrote, "Are you trying to set up a still, Barry? We do not consent." And then you explained to people the revelation of the revelation of the method, and how Satanists have rules, and that if you do not consent, they can't go forward with it. And then all of a sudden, I saw people responding to Barack Obama, "We do not consent. We do not consent." And then magically, I'm not saying that nothing weird happened after that. And everyone's like, this election was a little too quiet. We were expecting. I think it was your tweet that said we do not consent that won the election. Personally, maybe I'm crazy. What do you think?
I think that I put a lot of things out there because I know how devil worshippers think, and I put a lot of things out there in code for them because I know they monitor me.
Yeah.
And it goes in their eyeballs when they read it. And talk about artificial intelligence. I know how it works. And so, yeah, we don't consent. And I think I love that people picked it up, and I hope they say it all the time, because the only way that black magic works is they think they have our consent because we don't say anything. They show it to us in movies and media of what their plans for us are, like Obama's movie. And because we watch it and take it in through our eyes, and we don't realize we're digesting it into our, subconscious. But if you keep on saying, "I don't consent," see, they do that because we watch it and then we talk about it. Mm-hmm. And so that's our consent. So,
and that's a real.
I don't watch it at all. I don't watch anything that comes on TV at all anymore because I know it's just, they're putting it right in our face with the devil stuff. But
it's called predictive programming, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing
and it's also MK Ultra mind control. But and they're really stepping it up. They stepped it up these last 4 years. Obama did. And so, just everybody be aware. And feel free to, every time you're hearing something on news, feel free to write "We do not consent" all over Twitter.
That's great advice.
Especially if it's anything that's coming from the Democrat Party.
So
we don't consent to this government that's been in office for the last 4 years either. Nothing.
And that's a real thing, right? Like, because I know sometimes not me, I don't give a shit about me, but you get called like crazy conspiracy theorists from time to time.
Yeah. Sometimes
you say wacky things. Sometimes I know sometimes you purposely say things to get people thinking and code talk. But this revelation of the method thing, this is something that Satanists actually do. We've covered it multiple times. And there is a real thing. The Church of Satan is real. When we say Satanists, we're not just saying these are people we disagree with. There are people that actually follow the Church of Satan and Luciferian.
Yeah, but Luciferianism is the same thing as Marxism.
Absolutely. And it's in line with the Democrat policies today. And they do that. They do throw something out. And they did it right before the 2020 election when people like Bernie Sanders were going on Jimmy Kimmel or whatever show it was back then.
Yeah.
Saying, there's going to be, it looks like Trump's going to win. There's a red wave. But in the middle of the night, when everyone goes to bed, they're going to wake up and see that Biden came through with the mail-in ballots. They were doing that predictive programming. None of us said we do not consent because we're like, whatever, that's stupid. They've never stopped. They're not going to stop the count. And they don't stop the count. And then that night, Trump's at 95% chance of winning. Toilet leaks. They stop the count in 6 swing states. We all go to bed. We wake up. Biden gets 90% of the votes overnight because we consented. Really. We didn't say anything. So I just want to give you a heads up. and thank you as American that your tweet to Barack Obama saying we don't consent. I think that's, I mean, I might be crazy, but I think that might be when they said, okay, we can't do this. We can't do this again. They don't consent.
Well, I hope it helped anyway.
At the very
You know,
least,
you know what I think. I think that I think I've cracked a code, and I continue to live by it, and I continue to try to get it out there in people's heads so they know there is a way to fight back on the mental plane that far exceeds the physical plane.
And what is that? You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
On the mental plane, where all wars are won and lost. You know,
What's the code that you found?
minds. Every war is fought to get hearts and minds. And, you know, that's what you're fighting for, the hearts and minds of the people so they'll consent. So, you know, this was a war of hearts and minds, and intelligence is a magnet. And once it's like the, 100 monkey syndrome, when 100 monkeys wash their food, suddenly monkeys all over the earth wash their food. And that's what this was. And that's why they say the Great Awakening. And I think it was catchy, and it caught on, and people did wake up, because how could they not wake up with what they've seen the last 4 years? They've seen, well, I'll save it till I see some arrests, because these people, they have to pay for what they put us through, for the amount of people they killed while they put us through this last 4 years.
Do you think now that Trump won, and not just won, but one-handedly, basically a mandate, as they call it, do you think that now he's going to know, like, I'm not going to bring in Pence's or Pompeo's or any of these bastards, like, we're going to go in and we're going to do what I said? Or do you think he's going to show up day one and be like, you know what, I'm not going to arrest anyone, like, we have to come together as a country? Because he did that. Remember, he ran on lock her up with Hillary Clinton, and then day one he's like, you know what, I don't want to arrest her, which I think was the right call. A lot of people are mad, but like, he was still operating in that old system, like, we don't arrest our political opponents, and he still thought it was like normal America. And then when they stole the election, then they tried to arrest him, and they arrested all the Jan 6 people, and they put Bannon in jail. They were probably, if Kamala won, they were probably going to put Elon Musk in jail, and pretty much.
Oh yeah, they were going to come for Elon. Yeah, they were.
So do you think this time Trump's
and
like
Joe Rogan and anybody
absolutely
else who says anything truthful?
Yeah, they don't like Truth Talker. They would have gone. But do you think now when Trump gets in, do you think he's going to be like, okay, this time I literally am going to drain the swamp? I'm not going to.
Well, I think the American people are going to force him to do it, whether he wants to or not. He is the person we sent to represent us, and he owes us that. He owes us everything about the Kennedy assassination. He owes us to tell us what was in those envelopes at Bush Sr.'s funeral. He owes us to tell us everybody that was on the Epstein list, and to tell us everybody that's on the Diddy list, and every other thing that we should know before we pay 1 more cent in tax. I do think, and I think guilty people who overthrew our government and tried to kill the American working class, they need to be held responsible and pay the price for that, because that's treason.
And we know what the punishment for treason is. I don't want to get kicked off YouTube, but it's a very serious crime.
Know. I mean, it might be 10 years in jail. Who knows at this point? But something has to happen. But
there's a particular punishment.
Well, I don't know. That's military. That's the military. That's up to the military. But yeah, they have to go through some military tribunals for treason.
I think Liz Cheney definitely should be on trial. I think actually the whole Cheney family and the Bush clan should be on trial. I mean, if I were Trump walking in that White House, I know exactly who I target. And it's not targeting political opponents. It's targeting war criminals and people that have committed treason. And the fact that Liz Cheney and the Jan 6, the whole group of bipartisan people, the fact that they were destroying evidence and probably planted feds on the ground in Jan 6, I think the first thing I would do as Trump is day one, obviously pardon the Jan 6 people in jail. And day two, I would start going after the Jan 6 panel one by one and seeing, did they really destroy evidence knowingly? I mean, I think they did, but He should go after them, because that Jan 6 thing, if there were feds in the crowd, which, I mean, I'm saying if to be political, if they were involved in any level of that, when Nancy Pelosi had her fake phone call with the black screen, if they were involved in any of the planning of that, that's treason. That's an insurrection. And that's,
it was an insurrection.
It was, and they should actually go to jail for that. I mean, that's what I'm for. And a lot of people get scared
And
when
the
we talk
Supreme
this way.
Court will rule on that in the Lloyd Brunson case. The Supreme Court will rule on that. So, you know, it's time for them to face the legal music. They made a mockery of every law in our country. They've broken every law. They've disrespected every law and disrespected every law-abiding citizen. And they got to pay. They have to pay the piper on it. Whatever the charge is, they have to be charged. And, you know, they say there's 400,000 and some sealed indictments. So, you know, we want to see them unsealed. We want people to pay for what they did to us as a country.
Yeah.
You know, purposely destroying our military and a million other things, you know, and replacing it with the military, as I call it, making us vulnerable, making us, you know, a sitting target, allowing China to fly over and take pictures of, you know, all our military hardware with their balloons and not stopping them.
No, Biden, you're talking about the weather balloon from China. They waited until multiple images were captured before they shut that down. They let them get, I mean, if Trump were president.
China, I mean,
yeah.
China uses the cartels to take control of our government, and that's what they've done. Yeah. And these guys are just happier as pigs in shit because they're raking in the money, and they need to answer for that. And it's our money. We want it back.
Yeah. I mean, the money that Biden and Harris and the weapons that they sent to Iran, basically through an illegal arms deal. I don't care what anyone calls it. I mean, October 7th attack on Israel, a lot of the weapons used were from the botched Afghan withdrawal. And of course, Iran.
They knew that was going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. That's treason. Like, if you go to a foreign adversary and you say, here, we're going to leave some weapons here. Here's a pallet of cash. Go attack our ally. We didn't have anything to do with it. That's as bad as it gets. And they can feign like it was an accident. But I'll tell you what, Iran was broke when Trump left the White House, and by now Iran is working as a nuclear superpower on their way, and they attacked. And we all know about October 7th. They funded by Hamas. And did you see the day Trump won? Hamas is asking for a ceasefire and peace now. They know it's
not
no big daddies.
Ceasefire.
Nope. And we know now that Trump, but that's one of the reasons we voted for Trump. He got one of the largest percentage of Jewish voters that a Republican's ever gotten. I don't know if you know.
I feel like, you know, I had something to do with that, and I'm really happy. That's the one I worked on.
Hell yeah.
I worked on that one really, really hard. I just want to give a shout out to Scott Pressler, because I just heard an Amish guy say that it's because of Scott Pressler that we took Pennsylvania, because he went, you know, we always look up to him, but he went and he registered all the Amish, all of them. Most of them had never even voted, but he registered every Amish person in Pennsylvania. And that's why we won, is because of the Amish. Isn't that great, Scott?
He wants to come on next week.
Scott, we love you, Scott.
No, he's an American hero, and I mean, there's a lot to get into. So I'm gonna do another ad break because we got a few more. I'll do this for you. You were sick. You said earlier at the beginning of the show that you had your med kit on hand, and I didn't question what that was, but we know what that was. That's the TWC emergency med kit. I have too. This is the best thing ever.
It is the best thing ever. I had ivermectin and you know, Z-Pack and all that stuff, and I was so glad to have it.
No, it's awesome. But if you've been listening to the show, you know what it is, but I still am inclined to tell you. The TWC Medical Emergency Kit. It's this kit you order. I'm looking for mine because I have one here. But it's got life-saving medications on hand. It's just like a little packet you unzip. It's got ivermectin, Z-Pack, budesonide, a nebulizer, some. It's got a little booklet that tells you how to take it. It's like having a doctor on hand. At the very first stages of any kind of infection or sickness, you can start taking medications early. You don't have to wait for a doctor. It's cheaper than a visit to one doctor. It's just a brilliant thing. It was created by Dr. Peter McCullough and Dr. Drew. They're on the board. I mean, there's a company that did it, but long story short, it's a tremendous product. We recommend it all the time. And if you want to know more, I'll just read this for you, Mom. Go to twc.health/RB and use code RB to get $30 off and free shipping. That's twc.health/RB, code RB for $30 off and free shipping. Do not wait for the next crisis to hit. Get your kit today and take control of your health. Again, you order these, you keep them nearby, and when you're ready to go, you just take it.
Yeah, you don't have to go sit at the doctor and beg somebody to look at you and beg them for the right medicine or get anything shoved down your throat that kills you. I mean, it was just great to have it on hand, and, you know, it takes away a lot of worry.
Imagine if the early days of COVID, if these were around. I mean, they created this post-COVID because they saw a need and they saw just how horrible the medical community was with the ventilators and shit, which killed my uncle, killed a lot of people. Yeah. And we got demonetized from YouTube for telling people that, but that is the truth. And if you have this on hand, you've got ivermectin and all the life-saving medications right on hand. You don't have to be shamed and you know, injected with anything and murdered just because you want to take medication. Order it now. All right, two more. I'll get one now, and then we'll get back to talking. American Financing, one of my favorite companies. I talk about them all the time. They're in the marketplace. Same thing. You go there. If you own a home, you can refinance your home. And a lot of people do this. For those of you who don't understand, it's pretty simple. If you have equity in your home, you can go to this company or any company. You can take out the equity, and you can pay off bills. You can pay off debts because the interest rates are traditionally lower. American Financing is saving Americans an average of $800 a month, which is about a $10,000 raise when you factor it. We're still in a Biden-Harris economy for a little bit longer, so let's not celebrate yet. If you are in debt, if you have high credit card debt or any kind of thing and you have equity in your home, you can go to American Financing and sign up. Costs nothing to call them. Call 866-890-8585. That's 866-890-8585, or visit americanfinancing.net/Roseanne. And again, you can just go there and figure it out. You're not obligated to do anything. You might be able to take out a loan on your equity in your house and really get out of debt. And I know, Mom, you told me one time you and my dad, before you were famous, were in pretty bad debt situation. You got out of debt. It changed your life, and can do that for you too. So
yeah, and it was similar to this. Yeah.
So anyway, so back to it. So you obviously have been vindicated, right? Can we just talk about that? Like you're now back. I mean, we always knew it. I always knew it, but you're fucking mainstream. You are the voice of the American people. They can't take that away from you. The last 4 years, they try to count you as a crazy conspiracy theorist and go, no, we're the establishment. Roseanne's this weird person on the fringe. More people agree with you, and that is provable. There's nothing they can say. You are the normal. How about this, Mom? You're normal.
I went over to David Pakman's page and said, you're delusionary. I left a comment there because you know how he's always called me delusionary.
Yeah, that's what they do. They go, oh, Roseanne's crazy. Well, do you think my mom's crazy now, motherfuckers? I mean, come at us. Come at her. She was right about everything, has always been. I've watched you for 46 years. You have always been right. It just takes a while for other people to notice. And I don't think they can take this away from you. I think you had a lot to do with this. I really do. I think you gave Hollywood, the people in Hollywood, a little bit of a backbone, because a lot more of them started coming out and saying, yeah, you know, this Trump thing's not so bad. And back when you did it, that was like being a witch in Salem back in the 1600s. I mean, you paid a heavy price for it.
They just went ape shit.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't even have a second thought about it. Like when I first was in Hollywood and all those feminists called me and said, you know, we're doing this feminist hootenanny thing and, you know, for abortion rights. And here's where we want you here and there and blah, blah. And I said, well, you know, I'm not for that. And they are they were choking. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that I didn't, you know, parrot the party line because, you know, they're Stalinists. And they were like, first it was shock. And then it was like, what are we going to do? How are we going to punish her? You know, that's their second thought. The first one is shock, and the second is how will we punish or degrade or rob or stomp out the rest of her life and rights and, everything else, or his, depend on. They like to do it more to women, though, especially the women there. Nothing but a gaggle of witches. But anyway, so it was on down the line. And then, so they called me and said, what will America, this was in 2015, what will it mean to America if Hillary Clinton doesn't win? And they expect me to do that Whoopi Goldberg song and dance, And I said, well, it will be great. It will be
I remember
great
this.
if she doesn't win, because that'll mean she doesn't own the media.
Yeah.
That'll just be great.
Yeah.
And they choked, and then thought about how they could hurt me. But, and I was right about that too. She did own the media. And of course she, the people she works for and with, they own it. But, yeah, nobody bought their bullshit. Nobody bought their bullshit. And it just feels like I died and went to heaven. So what I wanted for my whole life, that people would turn away from the mass mind control and start thinking for themselves. At least have the guts to look at facts from the other side, or information, and weigh it for themselves, and, understand how deep the mind control goes, how deep. And, they did. They did.
Do you think that there's been this free movement for people out of the MK Ultra program or mind control programs? Or do you think, I guess my question is, do you think that the other side, Democrats, are going to look at the results of this election and go, hey, maybe we've lost touch? Or I don't know if you saw Bernie Sanders tweet.
I saw some woman say it. I didn't see him, but I saw a woman say it. And she said, I guess that the Democrats, we have some soul searching to do about how out of touch we are with the American people. And I was like, damn, that woman's programming cracked. She didn't call everybody garbage that doesn't, buy her bullshit and, her fascist bullshit.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, some of them, I know there's good people in that party. They're just
of course
captive.
Yeah.
That's why I always pray to set the captives free, because the worst captives are people who are enslaved and don't even know they're enslaved. That's hell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, and I've seen it. I went on I go on liberal Twitter sometimes just for fun, although usually it's not fun. I want to blow my brains out, but obviously the last few days it's been fun.
Yeah.
And I've seen less of that than I expected. I guess I thought people would go up and go, wow. And I'm bringing up Bernie's tweet. I'll read it to you in a minute, but
okay.
Actually a pretty great tweet. He was like, the Democrats have lost their way. They have lost their connection to working class. It was no longer about working class. Essentially, he's saying, it was great. And RFK said too late. And that was his tweet. I'll send it to you. It was a brilliant moment.
Good. Because
really
the Democrats are the party of elitists.
They are now. And we've been saying that for years.
And care nothing for the working class. Stood by blindly while, the working class was robbed by Obama.
Yeah.
Particularly the black working class. Stood there smiling, still talking their shit about who's a racist.
And Trump gained in the black vote. He gained the Hispanic vote. I mean, you can see the exit polls and the numbers are coming out now. Clearly a large percentage, at least for Republican. I mean, obviously more of those.
Well, that's why I think they stole the vote, because in 2020, because
I agree.
My friend Cynthia McKinney, she's from Georgia, and that Georgia was the state that Cynthia and I sued when we were running for Green Party president. And we won. Yeah. We sued the state of Georgia and won. So I told Trump, your people should look at that lawsuit, because I think it will aid you. Anyway, so Cynthia said that that Trump won big and he won black in Georgia in 2020, and that we were thinking that a lot of those votes that were thrown out in Georgia were votes in black districts for Trump.
I think
That's
so.
what they did. They disfranchised the black voters of America in 2020 because they were really panicked that they were getting off the plantation there, because they've always counted on them and their voting bloc, and they cater to it but do nothing for it because they do think of them as their servants.
They do.
That they have no right to complain because they have a few of them in very visible positions, so that's the buy off, but the black people in those visible positions do nothing for the black populace, so that's why they like them, because they are the party of racism, and they all have been.
I just want to be real clear.
They really covered it up, after the Republicans got rid of Democrats' Jim Crow laws. They really tried to do a big flip there with that socialist summer of love and all that crap they pulled,
Well, I just want to say blacks did overwhelmingly, and I mean, the larger percentage of blacks and Hispanics and women did vote for Kamala. But it's important to note that a Republican traditionally who runs gets like 0 to 1%. I don't know the numbers, but it's so finite that they never even talk about it. Trump has gotten more of those minority groups than any Republican, and I think the last Republican that got the votes he's getting from those communities was like Eisenhower. Don't quote me on it, but I mean, this goes back 40, a pre-civil rights movement. And what's important to note is that when Democrats wake up, and they woke up Wednesday morning, and they see that blacks and Puerto Ricans and Hispanics and Gen X came up huge, Gen Z, like they thought they had that in the bag. Everyone they thought they had in the bag, about 20 to 30% of them trickled off to Trump that none of them were expecting. That's why they're in such shock. And to me, it wasn't really that shocking. You and I have been doing this podcast for a year, and even before this, we would talk to people. We saw this coming. We saw Trump win in 2020, and let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
This is his third straight election victory. He is the most popular candidate in American history. And it's because of the media working against him and all this shit that they called us conspiracy theorists about last year. Now I think they're starting
because of their arrogance. They're dripping the sneer they got this. Wow. Did you go to went to
college? Yeah.
And you're just an arrogant prick is what you are. And I always talk about arrogance being the other side of the coin from ignorance. They always go together, but they're so ignorant. It came to where their arrogance and their ignorance, there was a time where it was even, because it used to be their arrogance was way above their ignorance, or that people couldn't perceive it. But then, like in these last 4 years, they kind of got even. Arrogant, I'm talking about lefties. They're arrogant and they're ignorant met. But then after Trump was shot, it went way, 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 their ignorance went way above their arrogance. And, that's what finished them off, because we all saw how ignorant they were, that they waited, 2 days after a man was shot to call him a threat to democracy again and start all that, to bait the mentally ill who they pay to show up at their rallies. They bait the mentally ill as,
They said he faked the shot. He was in on it, even though 2 people were injured and 1 man was killed in front of his children. They're like, Trump did this. He cut himself with an ear. It's all fake. It was ketchup. And it's like, well, a guy right behind him.
We all saw them doing it. We all saw people. Joy and Whoopi and their arrogance and their like dripping contempt for working Americans.
Yeah.
And they expect to buy their sponsors' products.
Yeah.
But, they've insulated themselves even to where they don't even have to be making money, and they still can do it. But, it all crashed in. Joe Rogan killed the legacy media. Joe Rogan's interview with Trump.
I
And
agree.
so it's over. Nobody gives a shit.
No.
And, just nobody cares except them.
Mhm.
And, they're a very tiny, tiny, microscopic minority that means nothing to anyone. And, I felt like, that they're so arrogant and privileged that they actually thought the working class cared more about abortion than the price of eggs.
Yeah. Rovember, remember? They were calling it Rovember. And they
Mhm.
saw women voting early. I saw them dancing. Did you see that political analyst?
Yeah, that women care more about killing their babies than getting bread under $10 a loaf.
Yeah, they don't. They
Because
don't.
they're that ignorant. They're
Yeah.
that arrogant and that ignorant.
I would
And,
say
it is funny to see them like crying and screaming.
it's so good. It's been
But
so warming.
it's kind of revolting too, because I know why they don't want Trump. It's because he's against child trafficking
Yes.
and child sex abuse. And, they're all, they all went to Epstein or Diddy.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. And that's how Hollywood runs, is on child exploitation. And for the number of children they've harmed and murdered, they got to pay. They got to answer for that. They got to
Or,
answer for what they've done.
or
'Cause
turned out. They
They
turned
are
out a lot of kids. Yeah.
they're evil people.
They
They're
really are.
they're not even there's not even a soul in there. There's nothing in there but like a mirror that sees itself.
Well, like in witchcraft, if you do a spell on
It is
somebody,
witchcraft too.
and I don't know if people know this because we like to educate on this podcast, but if you do a spell on someone, and I can speak from personal experience because people have tried to do spells on me. If you put a spell on someone that's protected or is a good person, that spell, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mom, but I believe that spell comes back to you. And if you try and wish for ill on people, it comes back to you. And sometimes it comes back to you even harder. And I think that a lot of these were witches and Satanists and child traffickers that were just digging our nose in it and putting the grind in the boot, as you said, on us the last 4 years. And I think it's going to come back for them, because if you were for child sexploitation, if you thought that was more important, or that was an issue worth ignoring, you're in for a real shocker. Because I see it on your hat. I know a lot of us in the movement, like, that is the number one issue, is protecting children. And we're back.
We're sick of their shit. We're sick of their shit, their evil, demonic shit.
And we're coming for them.
We're sick of their spell casting. We're sick of all that shit. I know what they do. And so do a lot of other people. Because, again, their arrogance got the best of them, and their ignorance, because they left hundreds of thousands of victims that grew up.
Yeah.
So, be afraid, be very afraid.
Yeah, we're coming. We are coming for them. And Trump.
But my biggest thrill, I want to say this, Jake, my biggest thrill about America, besides that I just think the American people are the salt of the earth and the best people anywhere. But I was just thrilled that the American people rejected the anti-Semitism that's been shoved down their throat from the left-wing media and the Democrat Party. And they said, no, sorry, we're with the God of the Bible, not you.
Trump got 90%.
Despite, Obama's Muslim Brotherhood friends that have shoved that down our throats, because they're the ones that own the media.
Yes.
But, and, they say the Jews, but the Jews work for them. But, it's Qatari money, get a clue. But, that's where all the anti-Semitism came from. Obama brought it, and he tried to make it hip,
Who's Obama's?
Everybody rejected it.
Obama's number two, his brain, is Valerie Jarrett, who we're very intimately aware of. She's definitely going to be very, very upset. She's very upset about
the world's first woman mullah.
Yeah, and a large reason why money from Biden and Obama was going to Iran. She's behind October 7th. I don't care. Demonetize me all you want. I'm going to say it, even if she's not directly involved, giving money to
John
Hamas.
Brennan too. He's one of them.
He's a outright
Peter
Muslim.
Strzok.
Yeah,
they're all Iranian.
I know they blame Jews, but it's like, dude, look at fucking John Brennan. Open Muslim. Valerie Jarrett, open Muslim.
Well, like the Democrats blame the Republicans for everything they do. That's what the anti-Semites do to the Jews.
But I got to say, and I got a couple things to get into because we're doing good. But
although I am so ashamed of all the Jewish leftists. Oh my God.
Well, a lot of them voted, not a lot, but enough of them voted. I do think it made a difference. But Jill Stein, who finished third, I saw. I don't know if you saw this. She had, I think, her best election of all time because she's like a total Nazi. And I think a lot of the liberals on the left voted.
Well, she's a Stalinist.
But she's been very, very critical of Israel. Fascist. And I think a lot of people think
she's a Jew-hating Jew.
So a lot of people voted, like Orthodox voted for Trump. He got a pretty good sizable amount of Jewish votes in New York and things like that traditionally leftist. But a lot of Jews, the bad Jews, voted for Jill Stein.
Of course they
did. Because she's a total Nazi.
Right after October 7th, she started her let's cut funding to Israel.
She was smart, and that's why she did great, because this country doesn't like Jews on the whole. And Kamala paid the price because Kamala.
I think they do, but a lot of Jews hate Jews.
Yeah.
A lot of left-wing Jews hate Jews, and during the Bolshevik Revolution, it was the left-wing Jews that mostly killed the religious Jews. People don't know that, but it's true. Yeah.
Well,
and a lot of the Nazis' best friends were leftist Jews that helped bring Hitler to power in labor.
I know quite a few Jews that voted.
Fact you should know, but yeah, the Jewish people are in a big civil war, and I see, and we have been for a million years, between the ones that want to be, not believe in God and believe in Lucifer instead.
Well, they lost big time. I'm going to do the last ad, and then I'm going to give you the floor because I only have 2 more questions, then you can have the rest. But Armra, I don't know if you remember this, Armra Colostrum. We did these ads a long time ago. So for those of you who don't know, Colostrum is an amazing natural product. That is the milk before the baby starts breastfeeding the first 3 days, for those of you who don't know. It evolved 300 million years ago, and it's the first milk that all mammals produce. And the reason that's important is it's rife with vitamins and important minerals. Those first 3 days you're on the earth when you're breastfeeding on your mom, the colostrum is what really builds up antibiotics, everything. So Armra Colostrum is a great company. It's ethically sourced bovine colostrum. It's totally safe, ethically sourced.
That means they feed their babies first. They're not taking it out of the calf, out of the calf's mouth.
It's going to go to waste anyway. They ethically source it, and you can take it. It's safe for humans. And I just want to tell you a little bit about it. So I'm just going to read because it's too much to remember. It contains nutrients your body needs in order to thrive. Over 5,000 research publications document the health properties it confers across all stages of life. Armra Colostrum is patent-pending premium bovine colostrum concentrate that leverages proprietary cold chain biopotent TM pasteurization technology to preserve colostrum's 400 plus bioactive nutrients in their purest, most bioavailable form and ensure a composition that's uniquely optimized for human health. So again, there's a lot of benefits that come from colostrum because it is it's the most purest, it's God's milk is what it really is, if you want to be honest.
Yeah,
it can help food, hair growth, gut health, everything. It has amazing things it can do for you. So we're going to give our audience 15% off their first order. If you go to tryarmra.com, that's TRYARMRA.com/RB, and you use the code RB, you get 15% off your first order. That's tryarmra.com/RB. And again, it's ethically sourced. The benefits are inarguable, and I really, really tell people go there and try it. It might even grow your hair back. It's got all sorts of stuff. So anyway, let's get back to this. Yeah, and again, I know I need it, but I don't want to lose I got a story to tell you about this hat too. But real quick, the Bernie tweet that I want to tell you about, even though Bernie is a communist and we hate him now. You and I were Bernie bros in 2016. We did support Bernie. Everyone hates us for it. But there is a
I supported him as the Democratic candidate, but I was already for Trump. I wanted to see Trump and Bernie debate. I thought that was excellent economic education for people.
I think so, and they didn't let it happen because, of course, Hillary cheated, just like they cheated with Kamala and Biden. They never led the people. But
I just hate democracy. That's why they want to save democracy with no democracy.
I just want to read this to you real quick, if you don't mind. So this is from Bernie. I'll skip through it, but it should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. First, it was the white working class, and now it is Latino and Black workers as well. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. Today, while the very rich are doing phenomenally well, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and we have more income and wealth inequality than ever before. Unbelievably, real inflation accounted for weekly wages for the American worker and are actually lower now than they were 50 years ago. Whatever,
that's
Bernie,
right.
Call me. But it's true. Totally. Despite an implosion in technology and worker productivity, many young people will have a worse standard of living than their parents, and many of them worry that the artificial intelligence and robotics will make a bad situation even worse. Today, despite spending far more per capita than other countries, remain the only wealthy nation not to guarantee health care, blah, 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 commie shit. But anyway, today, despite strong opposition from a majority of Americans, we continue to spend billions funding the extremist Netanyahu's government and blah, 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 gay shit.
He's a cock.
But will the big money interests and well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party, this is the good part, will the big money interests and well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign?
No.
Will they understand the pain and political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas as to how we can take an increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic and political power? Probably not. In the coming weeks and months, those of us who are concerned about grassroots democracy and economic justice need to have some very serious conversations. So the reason I'm reading this to you,
Bernie should have some serious conversations with working people himself.
I agree.
He doesn't like working people either.
Did I lose you? Oh, there you are. No, he doesn't. But what's important here is that this is someone, even though he's still doing his Bernie commie shit, what I like about it is he sees this disastrous campaign. They wake up. It's a red wave. I mean, Trump just destroyed them. And instead of him going, oh, it was racism, it was misogyny, which a lot of them are doing, they're still going to do it. He's like, we ran a shit campaign. Our party sucks, and we've abandoned the working class people. And that's all I want. That's what you and I left the Democratic Party. And I think a lot of them are waking up, although, and this is where I'm going to stop talking because I've talked too much. I was trying to carry the show because you were sick. I'm going to let you have it. But have you seen, and I know you've seen it, Democrats are now election deniers. They think Trump cheated. Do you know this?
Oh, yeah, I knew that was coming.
Do you know why?
They said that was going to come. Huh? Why?
They're saying something's wrong. There was supposedly record turnout this time, just like 2020, but there's about 14 to 15 million. I mean, the popular count's still going, but Kamala got about 15 million less than Biden. So they're like, wait a minute, how did Biden get 81 million votes and Kamala's only got, 60 whatever?
Yeah, they're caught in a box that Trump put them in, so that the more they contest this election, the more it's going to show what they did in 2020. So go for it, guys.
I want to talk about
let your arrogance take over like you always do, and let's see this, because everything they will try to uncovers them as usual. Like when they, made Trump take the, they won the election for Trump. They made him take the mug shot. He went up. Everything they did, everybody could see what phonies and two-faced liars they were. And it just pumped him up. And I have to say, if it wasn't for Biden, Biden did Trump a lot of good when he put on the MAGA hat, because, he hate them for what they did to him. So I think he wanted to help Trump, and he did. And then when he said the garbage thing, that kicked it up into ninth gear there.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because Tony Hinchcliffe is a friend of yours, and it was your birthday too. People know that you celebrated your birthday on November 3rd. Another reason you're sick because you drank so much. We had a karaoke party. You were asked out in about 15 minutes. I don't know if you remember.
I don't drink very well.
No, you did one song. We hired a DJ. They had him come. We were all your kids were together. You did, I think, 1 or 2 songs and went to bed. And you've been sick since. So I think you should. I think a lot of it was the alcohol poisoning, probably. But more
I had
importantly,
2 drinks and then they made me take a shot,
yeah.
which I'm not good at that. But
No, you've had your
that
stomach
did
stapled.
me in.
The reason
Yeah.
I'm bringing it up is we did a birthday video. I don't know if people know this. It's private, but a lot of big heavy hitters came wish you a happy birthday. I was proud to be a part of it.
Sweet.
And Tony Hinchcliffe was one that wished you a happy birthday on this video. I reached out to Tony, and it was, for me, the funniest moment of that birthday video. And one of the funniest moments in American history that people will never know, so I'm going to tell him now. But he said, "Happy birthday, Roseanne. You're the queen." He had a golden Donald Trump necklace. He's full MAGA now. And he said, "Happy birthday, Roseanne." And he's like, "I take all of my political rally advice from you." Because everyone knows Tony Hinchcliffe was the one that told the Puerto Rican garbage joke. And everyone said that's going to be the downfall of Trump. And I got to be honest, I was very, very worried. I didn't like it. And
I was worried what they were going to do to him and what if that would give him any traction. But, Puerto Rico went Republican. So it was great.
No, and a lot of Puerto
Ricans know that their government, their Democrat government, don't know what to do with all the garbage. They just pile it up everywhere. People are living in it. So it was good that he said that.
Absolutely great. But what I'm saying is when that maelstrom happened and Tony said it was like, Trump's a racist. Look, he's having comedians. They're all racist.
They said everyone there was a Nazi.
Yeah, and it didn't help. It was like what they did to you when you had your tweet. It was like, see? So I was really worried. It was about 24 hours later when Biden was responding to Tony Hinchcliffe, our good friend, when he called Trump supporters in half the country garbage. And it totally took the narrative out. It was really the last-ditch October surprise by Kamala and her team. They knew they were losing. Tony gave them this gift that they thought they had, and Biden immediately took it away. And I think he did it on purpose. I think he hated her. Everyone knows he hated her. And I want to say, I still want Biden to go to prison. Of course he does. I hate him. I want him to go to prison, but I'm willing to give him a pardon when they catch all the money laundering did, because I think he had a lot to do with it. It
depends on what he does between now and when he goes.
Yeah.
I think he can do a lot of dirty stuff. And, I don't know. I'm worried about it.
He did us a big favor.
I just wanted to say that to people. Just because we had this big victory, it's really great, and we'll celebrate it for a few days. But we still can't be pulled off of our goal, because they're still there and they still have a lot of power. And Marxist commies don't give up. They just don't go, oh, we're beat. They're going to keep coming until they're stopped. And, we want them stopped, but, there's still a lot of stuff they can do, a lot of damage, a lot of violence, a lot of people they brought here can cause a lot of chaos. And I think that's their parting gift to America as their legacies die.
That was my last question. This kind of feels a little calm. We were talking about this election going to go to January. We've been doing this podcast for a while, and it pretty much was over at 1:30 a.m. And everyone seems to be in agreement that it was a landslide and peaceful transition of power. Kamala concedes. It just is like, I don't know, part of my gut, it doesn't pass my gut test. And I wanted to ask you, this is my last question. I told you I had questions prepared. Are they really just like, wow, we got beat, let's hang it up? Or is this the calm before the storm? Are they going to do something very nefarious? Is there something they're planning? I mean, you're always right about everything. So I'd like you to tell me, because I'm excited, but I'm nervous, if that makes sense.
Well, from what I hear from the people who I talk to, and that's a lot of people, everybody's on high alert, and everybody should be on high alert that they still are in. They still have power. There's still a lot of horrible things they could do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of our money they can send away and salt away in other countries for them to go collect when they're out of office. And, they could strip us bare and take us down in 2 months until there's a transfer of power, which I don't know. Obama's been in a long, long time, and I don't think he wants to go. And I think that they thought it was going to be a lot closer than it was.
And they could
And
steal
they
it.
had plans to, stop Trump still anyway, because remember, they're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their legacies because they don't want anyone to know that, they went to Epstein Island and that they went to Diddy parties. And where there were child sex slaves. They don't want anybody to know that. So, that's why they do what they do to keep us from knowing. That's why they invent news stories and put crap on TV for us and make stuff up and always blame Trump because, that takes the heat off of them and what they've done. And besides stealing all our money. But, there's still a lot of damage they could do, but, and everybody is scared. But I thought, the fact that he won every swing state and got the popular vote, that might be giving them second thoughts about, what?
I think
Because
so.
they always think that the people's hearts and minds are with them. And of course, now they've got to know that they are not.
Right.
Nobody cares about anything except for their own lives and, bread and butter issues and peace.
Yeah.
And nobody cares about, fighting for men and women's bathrooms or,
Abortion.
abortion or, because everything they say about the overturn of Roe v. Wade is fake.
Right.
They don't even know what they're talking about. The
Yeah.
overturn of Roe v. Wade was to end law made by, elitist judges in
Right.
their chambers,
Yeah.
because all law is supposed to come by and for the people. That's how legislation is. And they overturned that. They overturned the rights of the American people to vote on what they wanted to vote on and made law fiat law by judges. That's what was overturned, okay?
Right.
It wasn't women's rights or any of that crap.
No, we went to the Constitution and said, hey, it's clearly here.
They just lie about everything because they really feel by any means necessary,
Well,
which is what Hitler thought too. So, they are Nazis.
I think so too. I have a
And
theory.
They are, liars, and they're grifting artists that take public money and put it into private pockets to fund all kinds of criminal enterprises that they let themselves off the hook for. They never investigate anyone in government. And, they just continually oppress the working people of America. And they feel real good about it, too, because they feel like the working people of America are garbage and deplorable garbage, too.
They do. They do. And they've made that very clear. I have a theory that just came to me while we were doing this podcast because I was like, they're being too calm and they're planning something nefarious. But what I think now, I don't know, tell me what you think. As you were talking, I was like, okay, they got their ass handed to them, right? They know they don't own the narrative. They know legacy media is dead. They know that podcasters like you and I and Joe Rogan control the narrative now. They're done.
That's not how they think. They think this. They think like this. Well, they might have won this battle, but they're not going to win the war. We got to go back at them harder.
Maybe. I think they did that in 2020. I think that's what they were doing. They were talking about disinfo and taking First Amendment from us and demonetize. They've been doing this through Google for the last 4 years. I think now they realize, this is my theory. Tell me if I'm wrong, but hold on.
Okay.
What I think is why they're being so calm. I was like, oh, maybe they're going to plan something nefarious, but maybe it's more like, oh, shit, they're onto us. It's done. Shred the papers, get the fuck out, play nice, say peaceful transfer of power, get your shit out, hide the evidence, let's go, let's get on a boat, we'll go to Martha's Vineyard, and they won't touch us. Let's play nice. So when Trump comes in, Big Daddy, he's like, hey, you know what? They were nice. We won. I think they're kissing ass is what I think. This is my new theory. They're kissing ass because they know when Trump comes in, we gave them a mandate to go after these motherfuckers that went after us the last 4 years, last 8 years, really. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they think they're just like, oh, you guys, they're probably going to, when they do the transfer to Trump, they're going to be like, hey, man, you won fair and square. You're great. You're great. American people are with you. And I think they're scared. That's my new theory. I'm sticking with it.
You do?
Yeah. Because it doesn't feel
I don't
right.
think they. I don't think they. I think they might feel fear, but more than that, they're just consumed with hatred and their leering disdain for humanity. So I think they're like, well, the uh, the garbage might have got us this time, but we'll get them back. We'll get them in line.
But if you think they cheated in 2020, which we do, so think about this timeline. 2016, it's supposed to go to Hillary. Everyone's going to Hillary. I didn't even watch the election that night. I went to bed. Trump steals it, meaning he won when nobody expected. He had like an 8% chance, according to all the polls.
What
right?
did I tell you guys, though?
You said he was going to win.
It
You
was my
did.
birthday, November 3rd, 2020.
I thought you were crazy.
No, I mean, it was 2016.
16. Yeah.
And I said, he's going to win. It's going to be a landslide. She's not going to get it.
I was like, go to bed, Granny.
They were all saying that to me.
I did. And he won.
Right.
And my point is, so that's when what you're saying they're doing now, they're going, they might have got us this time. I think that was their reaction in 16. Like, wow, they stole one. So then they went after Mark Zuckerberg. Then they went in, they put, we talk about this all the time. They put government in social media. They started cheating everywhere. They went to media people, said you can't have disinformation. And I think they did that for the first 4 years of Trump's first term. That's when they did Russia. They did the 2 impeachments, Ukraine. They tried to hide everything. And then miraculously, COVID happens, mail-in ballots come, Trump's winning election night. They stopped the count. We all know the story. 20 million extra votes that Biden got that Kamala didn't get. And then I think they thought, okay, Trump's dead now. We let him have it. It was close. Now we've won the popular vote and the electoral. Biden won. We got 4 years. Trump's never coming back. But just in case, let's put him in jail. Let's call him an insurrectionist. Let's refuse to let him run for president. He starts winning. The groundswell comes. They thought we were going to die. Yeah. So they're like, fucking put him in prison. Put him in prison. That doesn't work. Like, fucking shoot him in the head. Blow his fucking head off. That doesn't work. And now they're like, okay, well, we're going to put the whole machine in. We're pulling Biden out because he's a retard. Let's put in Kamala. Let's give him $900 million over there. Here's all the money. And they did it. And they got their ass handed to them. And now they're like, I know, I'm going to call this. I think they're like, fuck, we lost. I know some stuff I heard today. Right, go ahead. I'm going to stop talking.
Which was that China did print 30 million ballots.
Yeah.
And they were sitting there in the dock in a major city that they were supposed to, the post office was supposed to pick up, because the post office was in on it too.
I think
People in the post office, not the post office itself, they say, but operatives in the post office. And they were going to pick those ballots up and feed them in, but they realized they needed 50 million and they couldn't manufacture that many. But
this is
what
now
happened,
or 2020?
This is this election.
Okay.
But what happened was that employees of the post office said, if you pick up that bundle, that's going to be it for you, because we know what you're doing. And so they didn't.
I think
because the American people are watching. They got real smart. They realized that this is their government, not it. The government doesn't own us. We own the government. And the American people, like I've been saying for 7 years, we got to do it. It's not just Trump, it's us. And so the American people were called to service, and they came. And, there was good ones everywhere. They thought they had the lock on everybody, but they didn't.
No,
even some of the ones they thought were on their side weren't in the end.
I think when 2020 happened, I think Trump was surrounded by people that were double agents, and I think they gave him bad advice. And I think this time around, I think we all need to give a round of applause to Laura Trump, because
she did a great job.
I don't know the inner workings, but I do know the second we were on the ground, we had James O'Keefe, we had Scott Presser, we had us. Like, American people are like, fuck it, you're not going to steal it again because we know you cheated. And whenever there was anything weird, law enforcement came, shit like that. And I think the Democrats were like, this is what I think happened. I think they're like, if it's close, we can steal it, we can cheat. Like there's fucking Carrie Lake. They're cheating Carrie Lake right now. But overall, I think they just said, wait a minute, where's Mitt Romney and Mike Pence that let us get away with this shit? Where's Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell? And this time fucking Laura Trump shows up and is like, you're not going to fuck us over. And they had lawyers, they had poll watchers. This time, I think the Democrats were wanting to cheat. And I think they thought, you know what, we're not going to get away with it this time. They're honest.
The American people stopped it. The American people did it. And, so. You know, I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud that they got smart and they got woke up.
I'm just going to show you this. This is what Trump just truthed. Look at that.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, that's...
bitches. This means an end to your abuse.
Yeah.
An end to your arrogant abuse and your sneering disregard for everybody that's smarter than you. See ya.
I saw the exit polls. I was watching MSNBC because I wanted them to call Wisconsin. I was up to like 2:30 in the morning. They wouldn't do it. Fox had already called it, but I don't know if you know MSNBC. You were asleep. They kept him at 266. They wouldn't give him Alaska, which was a foregone conclusion. They gave Kamala California, but not him Alaska. In Wisconsin, it was like 130,000 or something, and it was 98% reporting. They're like, well, you know, we could get 100,000 from here. They were just sweating. They didn't want to call it, and I was like, I just want them to call it. I just want them to call it, and I was watching it.
You know who I want to see get arrested are people like Rachel Maddow and people who lied to us using our airwaves and our tax money.
Well, they're protected. I guess they can lie. They're protected legally from misinformation and disinformation, but you and I, we can.
But as somebody said, they won't be able to walk down the street. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. I will finish with this and let you have the last word. I think I think this is safe to say this is the death of the legacy media. I think we killed them.
Definitely.
And they're done. And podcasting is the way of the future. I think we've already proven that. So that's the good news. But the last thing I want to say is just that, you know, they may go quietly. They may be peaceful. It may seem like the calm before the storm. But what people don't understand, and I just want to say this, Mom, please. Espionage, the fucking CIA, Mossad, all the stuff, that is something people understand happened in the letter agencies, and they understand there's this kind of spy game going on. A lot of times people think domestically or in politics or in DC that doesn't really go on, that espionage is the espionage world and this is political, but espionage exists everywhere. It exists in families. It exists in your office. It definitely exists in Washington, DC. And I just want to say that whoever Trump hires, whoever he brings in, they need to vet them and they need to watch them and they need to have fucking cameras on and they need to record every email, because I don't think everybody that Trump is going to hire is going to be the person that we want in charge. I think there's going to be bad actors because it's the spy game, and we need to hold them accountable. These next 4 years, we can celebrate all we want, but people that come into that White House, they may say all the right things. They may seem MAGA. We got to hold them accountable day in and day out, because I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are plants from Iran or China or Obama. And,
we'll hold them all accountable. But, I'm telling everybody, it's not over.
No.
Until it's all over, until we see people convicted for what they've done, people arrested and convicted and charged.
Yeah.
It won't be over till then. We're not going to forget.
No.
And, we've been abused enough, and now we're saying we don't consent.
We don't consent, and we want justice. We don't want revenge. We want justice. And we're not going to lay down. We were nice in 2016. We were even nice in 2020. Time for being nice is over. Bad apples need to go. It's a tumor, and tumors need to be cut out.
Well, the American people are going to hold Trump's feet to the fire. I hope he knows that. We're not going to, we got our eyes on the prize, and the prize is our future and what we deserve, what we sent our kids to fight and die for. We want it. It's ours. Of fighting for the people. That's what it's about.
He better not bring in fucking Larry Fink.
Fighting for. the elitists.
Right. If Trump brings in Larry Fink or Mike Pompeo or any of those people, we need to get through all our connections. We need to say no. We're not. He's not going to hire fucking Larry Fink or Mike Pompeo, right?
No.
Okay. You hear that, Trump? If you're watching, I know you're a big fan of this podcast. You're not going to do that bullshit. You're not going to do that. You're going to fucking drain the swamp. That's why we put you in charge and put you in place. Do your job. Thank you.
And
right?
you're gonna do what you promised as far as like helping the children of this country and the world. Yeah. You're going to continue on that path because we're not going to be happy till we see somebody held to account for all the horrible things they've done to this world.
Yeah.
To the children of this world. Yep. It's coming. Nothing can stop it.
The storm is coming. I gotta say, that's to your hat. I want to tell you a quick story before we go. I wore this yesterday in LA. Actually, I wore it Wednesday morning after the election was called. And I was like, I had my children with me, and I was like, I'm proud. And I wasn't trying to be a pussy, but I was like, people are pretty rabid here. I'm in LA, I'm not in Texas anymore. And I was like, I'm going to do it. What the hell? And I was playing. So I'm on this grass field. My two beautiful daughters and Hannah are with me. Nothing bad happened, but it was just an interesting moment I wanted to tell you. And this little boy comes up. He sees Livy. Obviously, he thinks Livy is cute or whatever. He grabs a little flower and he throws it at Livy, and it lands at her feet. It was a really sweet moment. I'm on the ground. And all of a sudden, her dad from around the corner, he sees it. The boy's dad, sorry. And he's like, Marcus, what are you doing? You don't throw a flower at that little girl. Don't throw leave that family alone. And I'm down and I look at him with this hat on. And I was like, oh no, we thought it was really sweet. We're not upset. And he looks at me and he looks at my hat, and I shit you not, Mom, libtard, looks at me and goes, never mind, throw it at him. And grabbed his kid and dragged his kid off. And then went across the park, and him and his wife were just staring at me in my MAGA hat, just disgusted. This was the day after the election. And I was thinking, like, I'm here with a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm. They're full of hate. They're just full of hate. They're demonic.
They are. And I took my hat off.
They need to know that we know they're demonic. Absolutely. And that they're full of hate. And they don't matter. Ha ha, you lost. You're going to lose even more until you get rid of that hate and rejoin the human race. You should do that. You should actually look in the mirror if you cast a reflection and question yourself of why you are so hateful.
Yeah.
Because why do you hate people who want what you have?
Right.
Why do you hate people who care about children? Why do you hate people who want to do the right thing? Why do you hate women? Really ask yourself that. Why do you hate women so bad? Why do you hate minority groups so bad? Why do you hate people who don't think like you so terribly, terribly bad? Because you're demonic. You need to do an exorcism on yourselves before God does it to you. You got about a week to get it done too.
I mean, it's a profound thing you just said. It's simple, but it's profound. That's why I love you. It really is that simple. Why are you so angry at people that just want a free and fair election, a free and fair America, their children to be able to work and afford groceries?
And other people's children to be safe and not be your prey.
Yeah. What does that say about you?
The prey of your party and the prey of your party's donors. Yeah. What's wrong with you?
You know who lost really big on this last election is the cartels. The cartels that bring fentanyl and child trafficking into here with help of Democrats and dark money. I don't care what anyone says. We've seen the books. Dark money. I mean, government money. We talked to General Flynn about it. They're going to have a much harder time. When Trump won in 2016, he made a record amount of arrests in human trafficking. He was the most anti-human trafficking president in American history.
That's why they hate him.
That is why they hate him.
Epstein Island and Diddy parties.
So they're going to.
Their whole thing runs on that, and they're like, so hoodwinked and bamboozled.
Do you think that they're going to start coming after the Diddy goers and the Epstein Island? Because I guess my last question, I know you want to go, but the Epstein Island. I think the tricky part of this, because I've always wanted the Epstein files, but I'm pretty smart, and I think you are too. Like, we're aware that that's a blackmail operation, and it's not just simply elites for money, but that there's probably, I'll just say this, intelligence community involvement with allies in our own country. Do you think that it's a national security risk to release that list? And do you think Trump's really going to be able to do it? Because when he gets in there and they're like, hey, you can release the Epstein list, but by the way, CIA, Mossad, MI6 are heavily involved in this operation. You're going to put our agents in the field. Do you think he can do it? Because nobody ever talks about that. They think it's just Hollywood goers, but
maybe that's why they haven't released it yet. But American people need to know, because we're not going to be bullshitted anymore. So we need to know. We want to know who in our government is involved, and we need to know, and we deserve to know. Yeah. And we're not going to go away quietly until we know. Well
said. Yeah, I can handle other countries doing it, whatever. But
they're all the same. They're all it's one. Everything is all connected.
I agree.
That's what people don't realize, that it's all one thing. It's not 50 million little things. It's maybe 50 little tributaries, but they all go to the same river. They have the same goal, the same, they go to the same place. It's like the human beings are prey of these people, and they're little better than vampires.
Well, what do you think George Soros is thinking right now? Do you think he's hanging it up, or do you think he's going to get more octopus?
I think Elon Musk put him in his place. And Elon Musk is a great archetype for billionaires. They all should be like Elon, where they actually help human beings instead of exploit them.
Yeah.
So maybe, remember my prayer for the billionaires, that they realize that they have the power to make everything in this world better. And they should do it and rejoin the human race instead of, hoarding money and, they're hoarders. But they have the ability and the power to make everything better for every kid on this planet. And, they should follow in Elon Musk's footsteps, because he's doing that.
Absolutely. I don't think we would have won this election without Elon. I think Elon might, even though he's South African, I think he's the most important American right now. And my hat's off to him, because it's not even about money. It was the fact that where he put his money, buying Twitter and turning it into X, because we were able to
disinformation and propaganda,
which is why they call it that. That's why they're coming after him, and they would have. But we were able to see in real time on X. I didn't watch a single minute. I didn't watch MSNBC or CNN or any of the legacy media until the race had already been called, because I just went on there to watch him cry. But before that, I whatever the word is, only watched it on X. And whenever I saw a report or James O'Keefe breaking something, or ballots arriving, or some weird, we were doing it in real time and sharing. In 2020, that was owned by them. Yeah. So they were burying shit. They buried Hunter Biden's laptop. That's another way they cheated. That's verifiable. And this time, because Elon put his money in X, we were seeing the real time skullduggery, as Trump called it, and we were able to isolate and move people and lawyers in place in time. And I think that's why
it's so great that the American people saw themselves as victors instead of victims. It's so great. It's going to resound in our consciousness for a long, long time, and become more and more apparent to what we've done, what we won.
Yeah,
we won against just an evil empire.
I mean, I would like you to take, before we end this episode, I would like you, because I love you so much, and I've been here since the start. I was here at Tweetgate, Valerie Jarrett Gate. This is not something that was just this election cycle. This was a movement by really bad people for a very, very long time. And they came after good Americans, and they almost took it down. They almost took this country down. And people like you, specifically you, I want to hold you up. Everyone talks about Scott Presler, but I think you're up there with him, if not more. The heroes of this country, back in the days when we were a fledgling country and Washington crossed the Delaware, people like you today are that version, and we did not let them take America. We did not let them take it from us, and they tried so very, very hard. And I would like to see you, Roseanne Barr, not my mother, but you, me as a fan, take a victory lap. You owe it to yourself. You were a huge part of this movement. Everybody knows it. And I think you were a huge part of why we saved this fucking country, and why my daughters are going to grow up. I'm going to get emotional, but they're going to grow up in a free and fair country. And I was really worried about that. And then I think we're safe now. And I was terrified. And I just want to thank you for putting your neck on the line, and Elon and everybody else. But this wasn't just winning an election.
I saw it coming because, I saw what they did to me, because it was about the 2018 midterm elections is why they got rid of me. But, I was, when I look back now of what they were doing to me and how they were trying to, I don't know what the word is.
Test case?
No, they were really trying to F with my show and make me do stuff I didn't want to do. And so I just, I remember I thought, I'm going to go out big. And I knew that it was going to be bad, but I feel like, I really told you this, I told everybody this, I feel like God woke me up and told me what to tweet. And somebody needed to take aim at the Obama administration. Nobody dared. Mm-hmm. And I dared, and I lived through it. And after I lived through it, I just kept fighting, because it meant that much to me. It meant that much to me because I knew what they were doing. All those years in the Socialist Party, and seeing what they're about and what it comes down to for them. I wanted to fight, and I did, and I won, and so did everybody else that is like me. So it's cool. It took 7 years, but I wish it was sooner, but what the hell? Here we are, we won, and now we're going to, like Trump said, we're going to win so much now that we're going to be sick of winning.
Yeah. And we won 2020. The funniest thing is watching Democrats today go, Trump cheated. There are 15 million missing votes. Like, there's no part of their head that's like, hey, 66, 67 million, that's what Obama got. That's what Kamala got. That seems to be the number Democrats get. 81 million is an aberration. And the fact that it happened in the middle of the night when 6 swing states were stopped their counting, and votes came in mail order during COVID, unprecedented election, never happened that way before, a legal election, illegal. And 90% of the votes at 4 a.m. came for Biden, and he won. And now Democrats, instead of going, hey, shit, where did these 15 million? I'm watching it on Twitter. They're like, we had record turnout and there's 15 million less votes for Kamala. Trump cheated. It's like, no, those 15 million.
That's what everybody was saying was their plan. If Trump did win, that they would hijack it and do what they put everybody in jail for doing in 2020.
No, they're election deniers now. But the thing that's important is that it's been really fun to watch on X. You had a couple of them where people are like, something's wrong. There's 15 million votes. Check your ballot. They stole 15 million. Russia stole it, and the Democrats are election denying. It's like, you're almost there. That's been the response. People have been saying, Posobiec and a lot of us, Elon Musk. It's like, you're almost there. Just keep going. You're wondering where those 15 million people that didn't exist are.
Yeah.
They weren't there in 2020.
It all points back to 2020. It's like, go ahead. Expose yourselves further.
No, I loved your tweet today.
You've exposed yourselves every day for 4 years, and that's why you lost, because we see who you are.
Yep.
We don't like you.
No, we don't consent. And
you ain't no good. You ain't Trump, no damn good.
I'm going to say this to Trump.
You're thieves. You're perverts. grifters. See ya.
I want Trump's first day to pardon Jan 6 prisoners, to pardon Tina Peters.
Yeah.
And
me
then
too.
the very next thing, I want him to get all the voting machines, evidence, everything from 2020, and just prove it once and for all that Biden cheated. Because I think Trump is the most popular candidate of all time, because I think he won 3 elections in a row. And I think he won pretty much the same way he did this Tuesday. I think he won that way in 2020. I think it was a red wave. I think he won the
You know
popular
what?
vote.
You know what's great about Trump is that he did it all from love. He
Mhm.
did it from love, and people felt his love, and they loved him back. And the Democrats don't even know what that means or what it is, if they've ever felt it.
Well, a lot of them are in NAMBLA, and the L in NAMBLA is love. So
Oh,
the man boy love, they understand.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this podcast. I'm going to let you rest.
well, I'm resting really well. I don't even need to have my drink tonight because I've just been sleeping since God won.
Yeah.
And, I love you all, and I know you all did everything you could do too. I know everyone did what they could do. It's great. We did it.
We did it. America is still alive, and that was scary. Let's never let it get that close again. Let's never
Let's never
get that
ever
close
take our eye off the ball, right?
Absolutely. Freedom isn't free. All right. I love you, and feel
Love
better.
you.
Don't
Love
forget
everybody.
tomorrow's Jimmy Dore's live show. I do have to do a phone call with a new advertiser. I'm going to come up there. You have to say hi to him for 5 minutes, like in the morning. But it's
Yeah, I'm
audio.
excited to be with Jimmy Dore, and who else is it?
Sam Tripoli, Jimmy Dore, Jimmy's wife, and Dr. Drew. You're going to be on a panel. It's live on Rumble tomorrow night.
Okay.
It's going to be a long day. I want to warn you, because it starts at 6 in Studio City, but we don't want to drive at 6 to Studio City because traffic. So I'm hoping.
We're gonna go early, huh?
Yeah, let's get there early. We'll get a sandwich. There's like a little star wagon. You do have to share with Dr. Drew and the like, but that they won't be there. He lives local. But let's get there and rest, and then you'll go on. It's a 2-hour panel, and we'll be home tomorrow night.
Okay.
But that's all you got to do. I canceled everything else. People were like, we want Roseanne on. They wanted you on Crowder. They wanted you on the Hodge twins. I just said, my mom's sick.
Well, I love all them, and I'll go on them sometime. Wasn't I supposed to go hunting with Kid Rock too?
You weren't supposed to say anything. I have to tell you, we are doing that. I'm not going to let you get out of that. That is our Thanksgiving podcast. You are going to Nashville and hunting with Kid Rock and staying in a cabin with Kid Rock. I mean, you'll tell me no off the air, but that's what I'm planning. We're going to go out there.
God, I love him. I haven't seen him since he's with Pamela Anderson at, where were we? The Derby.
I'll just tell you this. I reached out to, I produced this podcast with you, and I reached out to him months ago, and he was like, I don't do podcasts anymore, but I love your mom. We used to be friends. I'll figure something out. I don't know. I don't want to go and travel. And then he finally was like, would your mom come to Nashville and hunt with me? And I said, absolutely.
Well, I love Nashville. Everybody cool down there in Nashville.
No, and that's a whole other story. But anyway, we're flying out, I think, on the 21st. We're going to spend the 22nd hunting with him and doing a podcast. And then I'll have you back here if you want to come back to LA on the 23rd for Thanksgiving. Or we can go to, Hawaii or Texas. We'll figure all that out. But
I told Tony Eye's coming down for his show on the 25th.
I love it. Tony Hinchcliffe, that motherfucker needs to come on our show. When I texted him for your birthday video, he was very nice and did it. And then I texted him after we won the election. I said, turns out you didn't fuck it up. And I got a laugh from him. But then I said, hey, we need you on the podcast. And he hasn't texted back. So
I know. They don't want to come on there because
what's he worried about?
Too political. I don't know.
No, Tony knows. I mean, Tony was almost canceled, so he's a part of it. Anyway, yeah, we can go to Texas after. We'll figure that out. But anyway, okay. Kid Rock hunting. That's our Thanksgiving episode. It was supposed to be a surprise. You blew it.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, whatever. God bless America. God bless the Americans.
Yeah,
At ease, man.
At ease, man.
So you see.